It started on January 14, 2022. Flight NE243, a small twin-engine prop plane flying from Kathmandu, Nepal to Leh, India. On board were 11 people, 8 workers, locals, trekkers, and one man who didn't belong there. His name was Ethan Cole, 41 years old, ex-US Army survival instructor. He'd spent years teaching others how to live through the impossible, but he never imagined he'd have to use those lessons himself. He wasn't supposed to be on that flight. He was traveling through India working with a veterans charity when a friend convinced him to join a short medical supply run into the Himalayas. Just a few hours, they said. Beautiful views. Easy flight. He almost said no. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. 2 hours in, the turbulence began. At first it was light. Just another bumpy ride over the mountains. Then came the sound no pilot ever wants to hear. A sputtering engine. The left prop choked, the lights flickered, and the oxygen masks dropped. Ethan knew that sound. It wasn't turbulence. It was failure. The pilot's voice came over the intercom, shaking but calm. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain static." Then silence. The plane lurched hard to the left. The cabin tilted. Screams filled the air. Ethan grabbed the seat in front of him and braced, tucking into the crash position, muscle memory from his army training. He whispered under his breath, "Stay small." Ride it out, metal tore. Glass shattered. Then in blackness. When he opened his eyes again, there was no sound but the wind. He was half buried in snow, blood in his mouth, one leg throbbing with pain. The fuselage was torn in two, smoke rising in the freezing air. Around him lay pieces of the plane, and people who would never move again. He crawled through the wreckage, calling out, but no one answered. His breath came in short, painful bursts. The temperature was dropping fast, below -20 Celsius. He had hours, maybe less. He found an emergency kit, a blanket, a single protein bar, and a lighter from someone's pocket. That was it. He built a small shelter out of broken seats and aluminum, sealed it with snow, and waited for dawn. The first night was endless. His body shook so violently it felt like his bones would snap. He knew he couldn't sleep, not in that cold. Sleep meant death. So he stared into the dark, whispering to himself, "Survive tonight. Just one night." Sometime before dawn, he thought he saw someone. A man wrapped in wool standing outside the shelter. Ethan blinked. The man raised his arm and pointed west. "Down," he said. "You must go down." And then he was gone. No tracks, no sound. Just wind. Maybe it was a hallucination. Maybe not. But when the sun rose, Ethan turned west. He spent the morning searching the crash site one last time. Inside a shattered wing, he found a small backpack, 2 protein bars, instant noodles, and a lighter. It was enough to keep him alive a little longer. He stayed near the wreck for another night, built a small fire, and found something glinting in the snow. A silver necklace engraved, "To Sarah, love Dad." He remembered the woman who'd sat across from him on the flight, the one talking about her daughter in Boston. The necklace had been hers. He held it in his hand for a long time before tucking it into his pocket. "You'll make it home," he whispered. "One of us will." By day 2, he began to descend the mountain. His leg was probably fractured, his fingers numb, but he moved anyway. Every step hurt, every breath burned. He followed gravity, the oldest rule in survival. Water always leads to life. Hours later, he heard it, the sound of running water beneath the ice. He broke through the frozen surface with a metal scrap and drank until his stomach cramped. It hurt, but it meant he was still alive. He found a small cave for shelter, lit a fire, and stared at the flames until he saw faces inside them. Soldiers he'd known, friends long gone. One of them smiled at him and said, "We'll make it home, right?" He blinked and the firelight flickered. No one was there, just the sound of the wind outside. By the 3rd day, his hands had turned gray, frostbite. He tried to warm them by his chest, but the pain was unbearable. Still, he pressed on. He built an SOS signal out of plane debris and fired a red flare into the sky. For 30 seconds, it burned bright against the clouds. Then it vanished. No one saw it. That night, something walked past his shelter, heavy, slow. He could hear the crunch of snow, the sound of breathing. He held a piece of metal in his shaking hand and waited. Whatever it was, it moved on. He never saw it, but he knew the mountains weren't empty. On the 4th morning, he saw smoke in the distance, thin, gray, curling into the air between 2 ridges. Hope hit him like adrenaline. He pushed forward, limping, crawling when he had to. The smoke led him to a stone building, old, cracked, half buried in snow. A monastery. Inside he found something impossible. A small candle, still burning, and beside it, a satellite phone. He couldn't believe it. He dialed, and after a few seconds, a voice answered, "Kathmandu Search and Rescue." "Identify yourself." Ethan shouted, "Ethan Cole. Flight NE243, we crashed, I'm alive." Then static. The line died. He climbed onto the ridge, holding the phone toward the sky. The signal flickered, came back for a second, then vanished again. The battery read 14%. He cursed, tried again, nothing. He went back inside, hoping to find someone, but the monastery was empty. Stone rooms, prayer scrolls, frozen bowls of water, until he found one room with stairs leading down. He followed them, lighter in hand, and saw carvings on the wall. Stories of souls lost to the mountains, of monks guiding spirits to peace. At the bottom he found them. Dozens of skeletons sitting cross-legged, draped in robes. A room full of silent monks long dead, their skulls painted gold, their eyes hollow. It wasn't a monastery anymore. It was a tomb. A whisper echoed through the dark. "Stay." He ran up the stairs, through the hall, out into the cold. The candle near the altar had gone out. The phone was still in his pocket, battery 9%. He stayed another night in that place, listening to the wind scream through the stone. By morning, his food was gone. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. His vision blurred. He started seeing things, a soldier waving at him through the storm, calling his name. He ran toward it, fell face first into the snow, and found something half buried, a U.S. Army dog tag. His own name engraved on it, Ethan Cole. He stared at it, frozen in place. The mountain was showing him pieces of himself. Memories, ghosts, he didn't know which. That night his fire went out. His hands were black now, fingers stiff like wood. He tried to relight it, but nothing worked. So he poured the last drops of jet fuel onto an old prayer mat and struck the lighter. Flames roared to life. He pressed his hands near it. Too close. The skin burned. The smell filled the air, but the pain brought him back. He laughed, then cried, then whispered, "Not like this." Days 6 and 7 blurred together. A blizzard swallowed the valley. He couldn't move. He recorded a message on the satellite phone. "If anyone finds this, tell Sarah's family she didn't suffer. Tell them I tried." His voice cracked. "And tell them I'm sorry, I couldn't keep my promise." The battery light blinked once, 3%, then went dark. When the storm finally cleared, he saw lights in the distance, flickering like torches, bells ringing faintly in the wind. He stumbled toward them, shouting for help. But the lights faded, the sound stopped, and the snow around him was untouched. No footprints, no sign of life. He realized then he wasn't fighting the mountain anymore. He was fighting himself. On the 8th day, he decided to keep moving. He tied the necklace, the dog tag, and the lighter into a bundle and pressed it against his chest. He whispered to the monastery, "Keep me company on the way down." He walked for 3 more days, no food, no feeling left in his hands or feet. On the 11th day, his body finally gave up. He collapsed in the snow, looking up at the sky. He smiled because for a moment he thought he saw a helicopter. Then everything went dark. When rescuers finally reached the crash site, 11 bodies were recovered. Only one was missing, Ethan Cole. A day later, they found him 5 miles west near a ruined monastery, barely breathing, wrapped in a tattered blanket, his hands frostbitten to the bone. Next to him lay a burned prayer mat and an old satellite phone. They called it a miracle, but when investigators analyzed the phone, they found something strange. The model had been discontinued in 1998, 24 years earlier, and the registered owner on file, Lieutenant Ethan Cole, U.S. Army, reported killed in action, Afghanistan 2010. When the doctors told him, Ethan didn't speak. He just stared out the window, snow falling beyond the glass. When they handed him the items found on his chest, the lighter, the necklace, and the dog tag, he whispered, "Guess I finally kept my promise." No one knew what he meant, but those who've been to the Himalayas say that sometimes, in the middle of the night, you can still hear bells and see a single set of footprints leading west. Maybe the mountain let him go, or maybe it just gave his ghost a reason to walk home. The Himalayas kept their secret for 11 days, but we'll uncover another one, right here, Don't forget to subscribe.